Hello there. Today on the Driven Podcast, I'm having a conversation with McKay of Buehner Brothers Painting Company. McKay and his brother Tucker own the company in Utah. They came from a huge family, a lot of support, a lot of love. They learned to paint from their grandparents. Um, Unfortunately, their father passed away when McKay was 11 years old. And McKay's mom, who was a huge influence on his life, of course, was left to raise 6 children, ages 15 and under, on her own. So he tells his story of becoming an entrepreneur and being in business with a family member. So I think you're really going to enjoy hearing from McKay. So McKay, tell us a little bit about your story with the painting company. And I know you're an owner with your brother. So let's just jump right in.
Yeah, my brother and I started painting when we were young teenagers. Our grandparents started painting when they were retired and bored. They needed something to do. So they're like, let's go paint. They didn't have a license, didn't have insurance, everything was under the table. As a teenager, none of that fazed me. Once we started our business, I remember the first general contractor who asked for our license and insurance, and I was like, what is that? So we've learned a lot. But one thing we learned in those early years with our grandparents is to love painting. They were always having fun on the job site. My grandpa would always come to work with new jokes. He'd tell you the jokes, and then you'd watch him go around to all the crew members and the customers and tell the same jokes over and over again. So we had a lot of fun. We were the youngest kids on the crew by about 60 years, mostly a geriatric crew. But anyways, they taught us to love painting. Flash forward, we kind of did that on and off, summers and weekends through school. And I went and did a software job during college. And then as soon as I finished college, I was like, I know I want to start my own business, and I love painting.
Okay.
That's all you
You went
really
to college for
need.
4 years. Like your parents helped pay for your college?
No,
No, that's
no.
no.
So we had, I don't know where I stand yet on helping my kids with their education fund,
Okay.
because I'm kind of
Okay.
old school. My mom, she made us work, and I was going to talk about her later as an
Yeah.
influential person, but she made sure we were working from a young age. We all had
Okay.
some form of job or business so that we could pay for our own college.
I love it.
So
Okay.
yeah, she was a single mom from the time I was 11, and 6 kids.
Okay.
So there was no way she was going to be able to pay for everyone's.
Right.
Yeah, but she did plenty for us. I'm not like,
Okay.
who what was me like.
Oh, yeah.
I had
Yeah.
it so hard, walked uphill both ways to
Yeah.
school every day. But
Yeah.
anyway, so yeah, I went to school for 4 years, studied marketing at the University of Utah. And so
Okay.
naturally, with that degree, I thought, you know what, I am going to go into painting. Start a business.
Naturally.
Yeah, just kind of put you on that track. And I talked to my brother, and my brother is the type who he's an optimist. He's just down for anything. So I was
Yeah.
talking to him. He had a similar background painting as a teenager, and I
Yeah.
said, "Hey, should we form a company and make this a legitimate career?" And he said, "Sure." So
Is he
that was
older than
nine and a
you?
half years ago.
Is he older than you, McKay?
He's younger than me, but he looks older. So I
Ah,
always give him a hard time for that. Yeah,
okay. Because we're going to be looking you guys up online to see for
yeah.
yourself. And
Yeah,
that
we
was
don't
how
really
many?
look like brothers. He's the blonde sheep of the family. All my other
Yeah.
siblings look similar. He looks different.
Yes. So, you said that was how many years ago?
That was 9.5 years ago that we started the
Oh,
business.
okay. Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
Um, any of your other siblings, are they involved in
We had
the
a
business?
youngest brother and my sister working for us for a while. They were never owners, but they were a huge help in the early years and
Okay.
great employees, but they pursued other paths.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
So, talk to me now about how has the relationship been from in the past 9.5 years? What's the brother dynamic? What's the co-owner dynamic?
Well, it's funny because everyone says, "Oh, don't do business with family," and they know I'm already doing business with family. And I'm
Right.
like, well, "What do you want me to do about it now?" But it's honestly it's been great. I I can say that in the 9.5 years, we have never ever fought about anything. We've never even argued. We've debated
Okay.
strategy and things like that, but never with emotional tension or no confrontation or anything like that. So
Okay.
it's been great. And some people would say you need more pushback from a business partner. Like it's actually ideal to have a little bit more of contrasting opinions. But I think Tucker and I are wired differently enough that it works really well. He and I have different strengths and different weaknesses, but we do tend to align on our vision a lot of times, which is really important because
Yeah.
yeah. So yeah, he always brings a good perspective to challenges that I have on my side of the business, like what
Okay.
I oversee, and vice versa. So we talk through a lot of things, but luckily, knock on wood, like our wives still like each other. Like there's no drama at home.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I hired my sister-in-law and we just celebrated her 4-year anniversary with Driven on Saturday. And I love it.
Oh,
I've
that's
hired
awesome.
friends before too, and they've transitioned out, not because anything went bad, but because they wanted to pursue other things. But I love working with friends and family.
Yeah.
I think that says a lot about us, McKay.
Yeah.
We're really great people.
I think so. Yeah.
So have the roles changed at all from that very, like the beginning 9.5 years ago? Were you 50-50 partners at the start? What has it looked like? How has that evolved and changed over the years?
Yeah, so as far as ownership goes, we're still 50-50 partners, but the hats we wear have definitely changed over these 9.5 years.
Okay.
In the beginning, we were both just doing everything, and I think that's probably pretty common for a
Yeah.
lot of new entrepreneurs, new business owners. But as time has gone on, I started shifting more into like overseeing the finances and the little bit of marketing we were doing. We really hadn't done much marketing up until we started working with you.
Okay.
Um, just kind of growing organically, but any efforts
Yeah.
we had, like I was the one who joined a BNI group and, so on and so
Mhm.
forth. And then he was more focused on the operations. But things changed again a couple of years ago when we bought another painting company that just focused on commercial painting. We,
Mhm.
up to that point, primarily focused on residential painting. And so
Okay.
we kind of decided at that point that he would run the commercial side and I would run the residential side. I would still have my hand in the overall finances and marketing, but that side of the business is just bigger. So we
Mhm.
needed more focus on the operation over there. And so
Mhm.
that's his role. And we have offices kind of across the street from each other. It worked out
Okay.
nice that the company we bought was across the street.
Oh
So
my gosh. And did that kind of just fall into your lap? Did they approach you and say, "Hey, McKay and Tucker, do you want to buy this?" Or how did that work?
yeah, well, it's funny you say that because I know this podcast is all about relationships, and a lot of times um, relationships can grow quickly when you don't expect it. So we
Yeah.
had this paint company across the street. I saw the sign and I was like, oh, they do something painting related. Let me go drop by and introduce myself. So I popped in and introduced myself. Then flash forward a few years later, I was working with the local community college to put a painting course together to try and help educate people coming into the industry.
Okay.
And I needed to find paint companies that were willing to hire the graduates from that course.
Okay.
So I go back across the street to talk to the owner, and he says, here, come into my office. And he's like, well, we're actually going to sell, and we were going to approach you guys because we think you'd be a good fit. We know you mostly do residential. We think this would be a perfect pairing. What do you think? And, I'm an opportunist. I, of
Yeah.
course, heard him out. I was shocked by the price, but then we saw his financials and I was like, okay, we got to make this work. This is a healthy business. This is, yeah. So anyways, that long story short, like it did kind of fall in our lap. It did. But if I wouldn't have kind of dropped in and started building that relationship, he probably wouldn't have thought about us.
Right. Do you have plans to do more of that? Like, would you enjoy buying more businesses,
Yeah. I mean,
kind of phasing out?
you probably can't see the gray hair on Zoom, but I've got at least 30 new gray hairs. So from the acquisition, the process of buying was a total roller coaster. And roller coasters, as you know, are scary, but they're also fun. So we loved it. We loved it. I don't know that our wives loved it because they saw the emotional roller coaster we were going through. Um,
Yeah.
I think we definitely want to buy more. We're already in talks with another guy who's kind of been a mentor since day one. He's got a painting business and he's looking to retire. He wants us to buy him out. It'll be a much smaller acquisition, but yeah, we are so gung ho about buying more businesses.
Fun.
So,
McKay, I just heard recently, if you don't have something on your calendar that scares you as a business owner, then you're doing something wrong. And I think that that's so true. And whether it's on your calendar or it's on your vision board or in the pipeline, like there should be something that scares you just a little bit, because that's when you level up. And I think as an entrepreneur, that's what keeps us going. Because for me personally, when I just get into the grind of being a robot and just managing what I have going on and just checking off my to-do list, I get bored. I
yeah,
want the excitement of something fun or challenging or scary on my calendar.
I love that. I had never heard that phrase, but I think it's so true. I mean, I've got jobs that scare me. We've got a job coming up, and I hope the contractor's not listening, but it's a 13,000 square foot house. It's a big house. And I don't know. It's a little scary. It's a bit of a drive. So I'm thinking budget wise, like, oh man, if we don't do it on time, we're gonna end up making all these extra trips, and like, is it gonna be okay? So even jobs scare me sometimes, even after all these years. But I love that because thinking more big picture, yeah, like every acquisition is gonna be a little scary, but I don't
Oh,
know.
yeah.
I'm young. I can afford to take some risks that maybe other people can't based on where they're at.
Oh, yes. So I recently did a podcast with my mom, and her advice at the end, I was like, what would you tell your 45-year-old self? And she said to not be afraid. And you're younger than me. I think you're in your 30s.
Yeah,
Yeah. I mean, don't be afraid. You do have time to recover if something does go awry. And you have a ton of support and love with your business partner being family. I mean, he truly cares about you and your family and your well-being, and you're in it together. So don't be,
yeah.
you got this.
It's a unique dynamic working with family. I kind of wonder what it would be like to work with somebody who wasn't family, because and maybe the big brother element kind of ties into this because I have always felt like an obligation to do well with this business so that my brother and his family are taken care of. It's I can't get that out of my head. It's always in the back of my mind. Like, there have been times where I'm like, I'm so done with this. Like, let's close it up. But I'm like, what would happen to Tucker? Where would he find a job? Like, could he make the same money and have the same lifestyle with doing something else if we close this up? So
I
it
know.
it's kind of a two-edged sword. It's good because it
Right.
motivates you. It
Right.
also makes it so you have fewer options. You can't back out. You force
Right.
yourself into a position you can't back out of.
I know. It's like it's like the Spider-Man's uncle. He says, with great power comes great responsibility. Like it's fun to be the business owner and it's exciting, but there's a lot of responsibility that
Yeah,
comes with it. Um,
absolutely.
so you're the very oldest, and there's
No, I've got two older brothers. Yeah.
okay, okay.
Mhm.
So, are your grandparents still alive?
No, my grandpa passed away right around the time we were starting the business, just before we started the business. And my grandma passed away about 4 months ago.
Oh, I'm
So,
so sorry.
yeah, it's okay. I mean, she'd been on this
Was she
earth
so
a
proud
long
of you?
time.
Was she so proud of you boys painting and starting the company?
I think so. She told me when we were first starting the business not to make it a career. So she tried to talk me out of it, but she can't say anything now, so I can relax. No,
I think it's I kind of agree with her, and don't make it a career. Make it a business. Behave
yeah.
like a business owner. I come from an entrepreneurial family, but my dad is the owner operator of this.
Uh,
So I don't think it was until I was in my 40s that I really looked at being a business owner rather than creating a job that I had flexibility. Like I
yeah.
loved being my own boss and doing work I loved. but I think it's been probably over the past 5 years that I look at things differently, and I look at it as a business and not being an operator so much as being a business owner. What do you see your business being? I know you're in the financials, but are you out there painting houses still? What do you do?
Occasionally I'll get out, usually if there's something real technical or if it's like a close friend that we're working for and I just want to be present, like I'll go out
Okay.
there. Excuse me, but less and less I'm out in the field. You know, they make it seem so easy to work on your business, not in your business, right?
They, who's
Phrase is
they?
thrown around all the time. We're 9.5 years in. I thought I'd be retired on a beach somewhere by now, but I'm so far from where I want to be. And I'm not regretting decisions we made. I'm not like saying boo-hoo. I love what I do. But it's a lot of work to systematize your business to the point where you can really step back. So
Right.
we've just focused. I think it was E-Myth. The book E-Myth talks about how you put together your org chart and then you start replacing yourself from the bottom up. And we have made a lot of progress, replaced ourselves. We may go work in the field, but it's not always because we have to. You know, sometimes
Right.
we just want to get out there. So we made a lot of progress, but there's still a long ways to go. I will say, putting Driven in place, your platform to help with all our communications has been huge. And we hired somebody around the time we added Driven, and we've trained her to oversee it. So I
Okay.
went from being like the guy who handled most of the communication to now, you know, I have someone else doing almost all of it. I really only communicate with those like referral partners and then long-term
Okay.
customers that I have a good relationship with. But all new business goes through Driven. My office lady's taking care of it. So it's
And I think her name's Kelsey, right? That works for
yeah,
you.
yeah.
Okay. Does Kelsey respond as if she is you, or are people getting to know Kelsey?
Well, you know, we just talked about that this morning. Like, is it too confusing? So she tries to use my voice as much as possible.
Okay.
That's where we're at right now. But one thing we've kind of run into is we had an automated text going out anytime someone would get into our system that said, "Hey, I'm McKay, I'm the owner. Here's my personal
Right.
cell." And sometimes people were then communicating with me on my personal cell instead of using the Driven number.
Okay.
Kelsey and I were feeling like, okay, there's kind of a disconnect. So we're kind of wondering. In fact, we should probably consult with you and your team on this. In the beginning, we thought, well, it seems more powerful if it is the owner or it feels like it's coming from the owner. But Kelsey does interact personally with a lot of our customers, and so we made to be to the point where she can just be her. It can be coming from
Right.
Kelsey instead of me. So it's something we need to look at. But
Yeah.
yeah,
Yes. Yeah, I think there's pros and cons to all of it. I think when, people are buying a relationship, but sometimes I think if it's too much on you, then it's hard for you to sell it without you staying in it. And I don't know what your goals are.
yeah. Well, I mean, that's exactly it. Like, I just don't have the capacity to give everyone the experience that they deserve. But if I
Right.
can kind of share some of that. In fact, you did an interview recently with Sunshine Movers. Is
Yeah.
that
Like,
something?
mhm.
And he
Yeah.
he talked about that, how he puts so much more of his time and energy into the relationships with referral partners
Yes.
than he can with each individual customer. That's kind of where I'm at this point. You
Good.
know, I told Kelsey this morning, I said the only new phone numbers that I should be putting into my cell phone are referral partners at this point.
Right.
That's kind of the
Right.
yeah.
Yeah. Yes. I think it's really important to protect that. So when we onboard someone, I love being in the strategy meetings and I love talking through like big picture, what are we doing with all of our new clients? And I think it's important. But the problem is the second they get my email, then I get CC'd on every correspondence
Yeah.
from then on. So I think we just have to be careful when you introduce someone to your painting company that you control the client experience and protect your email and your cell phone.
Yeah.
To
Yeah,
really,
I
to really
stopped putting my personal cell phone number on my business cards a few years back because it was just it was becoming too much to manage.
Yeah.
I don't want
Yes.
to be glued to my phone. So
No. No. So let's talk about referral partners a little bit. Who are great referral partners for you and for Buehner Brothers?
Yeah, so as you mentioned, I'm in BNI. A lot of the work I get from BNI does come from the general contractor and their
Okay.
projects he's working on. So that's more of like, he's a referral partner, but it's also kind of like repeat business with the same general contractor, but
Yeah.
they're different projects. But yeah, realtors can be good for us.
Okay.
And honestly, if I go back and look at the data, like there's not one specific type of person that stands out. It's more of
Okay.
a personality thing. In fact, was it on your podcast where I heard that if you meet someone with like a really bubbly personality,
Yes.
yeah,
Yes. Yeah.
yeah,
Blake was talking about that.
that is so true. I mean, it's more about who the person is than what position they hold and
Right.
what they do for work. It's more about the personality because we've had some customers that are just amazing referral partners and talk us up all the time.
Mhm.
And then there's some people like some realtors that you think would be referring business to us all the time. We never quite get to that point. And in fact, the guy who connected you and I, you and me, connected us together, put us in touch. Joe, he is a master networker, and
Yes.
I don't know. There must be nothing else in his head other than these buzzwords that he's been learning at BNI. You know, anytime
Yeah.
he hears somebody say painting, he immediately thinks of
Yeah.
it.
Yeah.
He's
Yeah.
so good at that. So it's people like Joe more than like a specific, you
Right.
know,
Okay.
professional.
Industry. Okay. That makes
Exactly.
sense.
Yeah.
I think Joe is Buffini trained. Brian
Yeah.
Buffini coaching, which is all about relationships. So have you seen any challenges in the 9.5 years? Have there been financial troubles where you're like, oh shoot, this is not going to work? And you've had like been in the fetal position and had to like pull yourself out of it, or has it been pretty steady?
Yeah, yeah. So again, I hope my employees aren't listening, don't ever listen to this podcast. But even last week, I was like, oh my gosh, we're not gonna make it. We're not gonna make it. You know, I
Oh
mean, my brother and I, you know, we've my mom raised us to be very frugal with our money, and like
no.
we have savings and reserves that we could always infuse in the business, but we obviously don't want to do that if we can help it. But
Right.
last week
Right.
was a moment where I was like, we might need to infuse some cash. It's just honestly, the last year and a half has been, we've had a lot of those moments when we bought the business. As grateful as I am for that opportunity to buy it, it's been tough. I mean, the loan we have
Mm,
is at its highest point, like 11.5%. It's down to 10.25% interest, which is,
mm.
it still sounds terrible, but we're grateful for that drop. But it's been a little bit harder financially to transition than I thought. So I think if we were to buy more businesses, we would structure the deals differently to put us in a
Okay.
little bit better spot. But
Okay.
again, don't regret the purchase, but it has led to a really stressful couple of years. Parts of the payout, the purchase will start dropping off in the next year or two.
Okay.
We'll get into a much better spot, but we kind of front loaded the purchase
Okay.
and we're still getting through the hard part. But yeah, I can't let my employees know that, you know, I gotta just
Better.
make it
Well,
seem
I'm
like,
gonna have to delete this part.
yeah, yeah, that's all
I
right.
think cash flow is always a thing when you are an entrepreneur, and making sure that that is fixed is the one of the number one priorities is getting that under control, because there's just so much stress that comes when that's a problem. And
Yeah,
it's a lot of times it's just timing. Like
exactly. Yeah,
it's not like we aren't going to have the money, but it's like the pace of when a card has to be paid, or you're making a major purchase, especially with what you're doing. You have a lot of vehicles, probably
mhm,
supplies,
yeah,
vendors you have to pay, or contractors.
yeah, yeah. And you know, sometimes we're not getting paid for 120 days after we complete the work. So, you know, you're right. It's really just a timing thing. Our accounts receivables are always really high, and we just have to be patient.
Well, and McKay, if your employees are listening, I think this is what separates the men from the boys. McKay, you are in this role because you can handle that. There's a lot of people who don't want to carry that burden. and that risk, but there's so much reward if you can handle that. It's the experience that you are getting and the opportunity that you're giving other people is incredible. And not everyone is able to do that. Some of the people that work for me, they feel so bad if we lose a client. Robin, you know Robin, who works for us.
Yeah.
She is like, sometimes I hate this because I hurt so much because I know you as the business owner, like this is your livelihood. I'm like, well, Robin, it's yours too. I'm paying your salary. But she carries such a love for me as the business owner and my family. She feels so bad if a client leaves, and it's never her fault. She's a superstar.
Yeah, she is.
But you know, for her, I love having employees like that. And I'm sure that's how all of the people that work for you feel like they love, right? Do they love working for you?
Well, I don't have a bunch of Robins on my team. I wish all my employees were like Robin. Because that's something that's really hard to teach or force on an employee. You know, we've had those employees. We have several still, but they're not all wired that way. For a lot of them, it is they enjoy painting and they need a job. Like it's fine, the pieces work, but when you've got an employee who's like, I can tell you need my extra effort today, or like I'm so excited about that big win you had. Like, oh
Mm.
man, they are the best employees. So
Oh yeah. So
I don't
how
know
do
how
you
to
keep
teach that.
how do you, yeah. So do you have a training for your employees? What do you do? How do you onboard? How do you create your culture?
Yeah, so our onboarding process is great. My mother-in-law actually works for us and does kind of our HR stuff, and so
Okay.
she has a really dialed in process for getting people onboarded. But you know, in the question list you sent me of things we might discuss today, you had one question that was like, "What's the hardest thing?" And
Yeah.
for me, the hardest thing is striking that balance between having fun and
Mm.
getting stuff done. You know, when in the really early days, when it was just me, my brother, my cousin, and my sister, like that was the team. We were having so much fun. You know, we
Yeah.
were boating in the summer. We'd have make dance videos for our Instagram, and you tend to lose some of that as you grow,
Mm.
and the culture changes. And so
Yeah.
that's been the hardest challenge is you know, finding people that are motivated to grow the business, really love it. Our slogan is we paint because we love to, and we need to find
Mm.
people. So there's a lot of room for improvement in that area. So I don't have
Mhm.
all the answers yet.
Well, I have a few clients who are real estate agents that they make their marketing, their website, their social media all about the culture of their company. And so they're making it more about attracting employees rather than for their clientele. Like their social media, their website is not for their clientele, it's for recruiting great employees. Um,
That's
so I think that
smart.
that might be something if we could maybe help you with if you ever get to that spot.
Yeah, I mean, my goal or a goal I have a lot of goals
Yeah.
and dreams. But you know, a goal I have is to be the company where there's like a wait list to get employed here. You know, I want to be the best paint company. I want to have the best benefits. I want to, you know, it's like these high end restaurants in New
Right.
York, Chicago. It's like it's an audition to get a job. And I had a cousin trying to get a job. She had like it was like a 12-step process to get the job. And that's what I want. You know, I want to be so good that
Yeah.
I'm never posting on Indeed. People are just
Coming to
jumping
you.
in. But
I love
it's,
that. That's a really noble cause because you know, once you fix the money problem and you provide for your family and your brother's providing for his family and you've created a life you love. It's like, what's next? Why am I doing this? Why am I getting up and grinding? Because you probably could just stay stagnant, make enough, pay the bills. But it's like, what's the purpose in all of this? And that's a really good goal to run after. Um, so I feel like I have so many questions for you. What are the big goals next? And get the loan paid down for the commercial side and then move on to the next purchase?
yeah. I mean, the purchases are. I don't know that it's something we can really force. I mean, to
Yeah.
get the ideal terms on a deal, I think you just have to be an opportunist and you know, evaluate every deal that comes up.
Yeah.
Maybe approach people if you feel like they could be a good fit. But
Mhm.
for us, yeah, goal number one is make it through tomorrow.
Yeah.
Let's rebuild our reserves, and um, we've really spent a lot of time over the last year developing relationships with subcontractors. So
Okay.
for the first 8.5 years in business or whatever, we would always get so busy that we were booking like 3 months out, and at that point you start losing customers. They don't want to wait that long.
Right.
That's how we
Right.
did it. But we've added these subcontractors to our team that
Okay.
give us flexibility and scalability. And now it's rare we're booking that far out. I mean, we may have projects on the schedule that are getting built farther out, but
Okay.
that's different. If somebody wants it done within the next month, we can usually accommodate that.
Okay.
So that's where a lot of our focus has been, and it will continue to be there. And that's why we've started putting more money into marketing, is because
Okay.
now we have more capacity. So Driven's helped out a lot with that. I feel like the customer lifetime value has gone way up through Driven. I think we're just
Good.
capitalizing on every opportunity to work
Mhm.
with the same customers over again. And I know Driven has also led to referrals from our customers. They get a message from us, and then the next day they're having a conversation with a neighbor, and they're like, "Oh, Buehner Brothers, top of mind."
Love
Get
it.
to them. So yeah, as far as acquisitions go, I think we would like to buy a couple more painting businesses, and we would like to expand to new territories. That one's a little
Okay.
bit more scary, but we would like to.
In Utah though, right? Or would you?
Maybe we've got, there's a city called St. George, and
Yeah.
St. George, it's beautiful. It was
Yeah.
like the fastest growing city in the state and actually in the country for a handful of years. We feel like it's slowing down a little bit, so we're trying to decide, like, did we miss the bubble? Should we still go down there? It's so hot down there, and you're probably like, quit complaining. It's
Yeah.
hot all the time in Arizona. But
110 here today.
yeah. So I'm just being a baby, but that was kind of our next thought. But even going out of state, I have so many people tell me that it's so much harder to do business in Utah than other states. So if you can do well in Utah, you will crush it in other states.
Why is it hard in Utah? What's the?
So here's my educated guess. Utah is very pro business and very entrepreneurial. There's some good business schools here. It's also it's a very competitive state. There's a lot
Okay.
of trying to keep up with the Joneses here. Something I don't
Mm,
necessarily love about Utah.
okay.
Yeah, but anyway, so I think there's just a lot of competition. Everyone kind of wants to be flashy. And so people realize that there's a lot of opportunity through business. So you've
Okay.
got saturation in all the industries, but you've also got a lot of tire kickers, people who are taught, there's a lot of members of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints here in
Yep.
Utah. And a principle that is taught is, be smart with your money, be
Mhm.
self-reliant, and be responsible. And so with that, sometimes people take it to extremes and they're so cheap. So you'll get people with $4 million houses, but they
Right.
don't want to pay, $500 to paint a bathroom or bedroom or whatever it
Right.
is.
Okay.
So I
Okay.
think if you can survive here with the competition, with the types of customers you have, then you can do well in other states where,
Okay.
yeah, there's not so much of a cultural impact in the buying
Okay.
decision. Just
Okay.
my theory.
Yeah. I mean, so if you had to start over from scratch, do you think you could get it up and running pretty quickly? Like if you were like, you and your wife were like, we're going to move to Florida. Do you think you could get it to the same production it's at now pretty quickly?
I think I would go about it differently. I think if I were to try and build an in-house team, it would still take a while. I could do it a lot quicker for sure. For sure. I
Okay.
would say I could certainly cut the time in half. But I think I would probably, if I were to move today, I would probably go the route of just subcontracting. I would be the
Okay.
marketing and sales guy. I'd coordinate the jobs and subcontract. I think it's a little bit
Okay.
easier to scale that model, but there are limitations. So the
Yes.
craftsman inside me couldn't really shine because, the craftsman inside me is like, I want the $10 million custom home projects where I can
Mhm.
showcase the best work. And that's what my in-house team wants, and that's what they focus on. And then all the other repaint jobs and simple jobs, we subcontract. So
Okay.
there's pros and cons to both. I don't know if my wife would want me to start from scratch
Get a
again.
job. Just
Yeah,
get,
she'd probably say just get a job, or she could work. She'd probably want to go work. And I could,
you might like that. Be a
yeah.
stay-at-home dad. Okay, so we need to wrap things up. I have a few more questions for you. If you could go back and tell your, 9 years younger self, you're just graduated from college, what would you tell yourself?
Ooh, I probably push the limits a little bit more. I think I was so concerned with delivering perfection on every job that I missed opportunities to grow at a faster rate. And growth isn't everything, but I think a lot of entrepreneurs probably get to a point where they're looking around and they're like, let's see, I've been at this for 9.5 years and somebody else has done it for 2 years and they're catching up to me. And it just kind of eats away at me. That's a true story. Like I've got this young guy, drives me nuts, but he's got this painting business and he's doing better than I am after just 3 years. And I think my service is better. My customer service is better. I'm not saying I want to cut back, but I think I could have pushed it a little bit more.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. If you had to be business partners with any other sibling, which one would you pick?
Oh, I mean, in case they ever see this, I better not answer that. Honestly, I have told my wife many times I could go into business with any of my siblings. And,
I love
I
that.
know I have step siblings as well,
Okay.
and they're all geniuses, and I would go into business with them or at least invest in whatever they're doing. So,
Okay.
I have nine siblings total now, and I would go into
Oh,
business with any of them.
well, that's a great answer, McKay. Very smart of you. And someone influential in your life who's been instrumental in pushing you, challenging you, and shaping you into the man you are today.
Yeah, so I have to say my mom, she for sure came to my mind first when I read this question. I always joke with her that I'm a self-made man, and I just do that to grind her gears because she has helped me. She has dragged me through life. I was not a great student. I was for sure the one who broke the most ice as far as the kids. My two older siblings were just perfect angels, and then I come along and I'm a wrecking ball. So she's been really patient with me. But what I respect about her and what she's taught me is, my dad died when I was 11, so 6 kids. The oldest one was, I don't know, 15 years old. So young bunch of kids, single mom, and she just taught us to work. And it wasn't a question like I hear people sleeping in till like 9, 10 o'clock on the weekends, and I'm just like, are you kidding me? There is no way my mom would let that happen. So she did just enough to help move us along without doing things for us, without doing too much
Yeah.
for us. Because I think
Oh, yeah.
sometimes you can go too far the other way. So, for example, I wanted to start a lawn mowing business, so she helped buy the first lawnmower
Okay.
to help me get out there,
Yeah.
and she would drive me to the lawns if they were outside of my neighborhood and just sit in the car, because I started when I was like 13, I couldn't drive. And she would always do just enough. If I said, well, I think I'm going to push that one back till Monday, I'll mow it next week. She'd say, no, you need to get over there and mow it today. And
I love that.
she's just been awesome. She's always been very supportive, very encouraging of us, kind of doing something a little more uncomfortable. My dad was an entrepreneur. I could tell that's the path he wanted to go down, but he passed away so young. He had an advertising business for a few years. But I knew that that's like in his blood. That's the route he would have gone. So I think I inherited some of that. And then my mom's just been like the ultimate support. So don't tell her I said that, because
You know,
yeah.
what? She's gonna be the first one to listen to this. You know that. Her mom's one of the biggest fans.
Yeah, she's
Oh
great.
my,
Yeah.
oh my goodness. Was it unexpected when your dad died?
Well, he had cancer, and he had it a few years earlier and beat it, um, and then it came back, and the second time it came back, he was gone within like a year, so it was pretty quick. So yeah, it was unfortunate, but I will say this, like I feel like me and my siblings and my mom are so much closer because that happened. I'm not saying I would wish it on anybody,
Yeah.
but it's not like, my parents had a wonderful relationship. I have nothing but good memories from my dad. I
Mhm.
almost feel like I'm at a little bit of an advantage because all I have are the young kid memories of how great he was. And, I'm sure he was imperfect, but, I was 11. All I remember were the good things. So, anyways, he did a
That's
lot
really,
in those 11 years of my life.
oh, so he'd be so proud of you, McKay. Well, I'm so excited to see where you go next, and always want to be here as a resource for you, even if you just want to talk through ideas. I love talking about business, and I love hearing what you're doing, and really excited for you and your brother and your future. and what the Buehner brothers are going to do. So congratulations on everything. Thanks so much.
Yeah, thank you.
Thanks again for joining us today on the Driven podcast, where we are all about growing relationships in life and business. We hope today's story reminded you that behind every brand, every business, and every big idea, there is a real person choosing to show up, stay rooted, and lead with intention. Your story matters. So keep building, keep loving, and keep doing the hard, beautiful work of showing up in both life and business. We'll catch you next time with another real inspiring conversation. And until then, never let love and kindness leave you. Always be a fountain, not a drain. And don't ever forget that you are the best.